Thank you to our viewers who are tuning into another CSE listed issuer update. I'm Anil Mall, representing the Canadian Securities Exchange, and today I am speaking to Mr. Ross Orr. Ross is the CEO of BacTech Environmental Corp. It's on the CSE under the symbol BAC. Ross, thank you so much for taking the time today. I hope you're well.
Thanks, Anil. Yep, happy to be here.
Hey, this is going to be an interesting conversation because we spoke a little bit before we started recording. Why don't we begin by you just introducing BacTech Environmental Corporation? And so tell us a little bit about this company.
Well, BacTech, originally the technology started at King's College back in the late 80s at King's College in London, England. They were actually looking at taking sulfur out of coal as a response to the energy crisis that was happening at the time. And some Australians came along and said, no, forget coal. We're going down to Australia. We're going to do this for gold. And they actually built their first plant in 94, another one in 97 that ran for 15 years, and then finally one in China that was built and then doubled in capacity. And all these plants have one thing in common. They pursue people that produce arsenopyrite concentrates, arsenic gold sulfide, that in the old days they used to burn it. If you think of the giant mine up in Yellowknife, there's 250,000 tons of arsenic trioxide lying around because they used to burn it back in the 1950s. Bioleaching is a technology that actually oxidizes sulfides and releases metal for recovery, but one of the positives of it, it also produces a benign form of arsenic called ferric arsenate, which is an EPA landfillable material. So effectively, we're an ESG technology for mining.
Now, you mentioned, the arsenic. How toxic is that when it comes to the environment?
Deadly. I mean, they kill rats with it. They have for a long time. Arsenic is an indicator mineral. So whenever they go looking for gold, they also look for arsenic as well, because if you're following, a stream bed, it should take you up the stream to the point where the outcrop is. And because you've got arsenic, there's a good chance you've probably got gold as well.
Got it. And so BacTech is using a proprietary technology called BacOX.
Correct. It was patented. I mean, we've been at this for a long time. As I said, the first plant was 1994. What's different now, though, is that instead of handing all the value over to the miner by solving his problem with this arsenic sulfide refractory gold deposit, we decided that we were going to build one and operate it for ourselves and process material that comes from other sources, like from actual mine production, in this case, in Ecuador.
That's your flagship project, right? It's called Tenguel?
Tenguel is the town where the plant is going, correct. And it sits next door to a place called Ponce Enriquez that has, I'm going to say, probably 100 mines over a 65-mile or 100-kilometer-long belt that predominantly produces arsenopyrite. And because of the high arsenic in the concentrates, the only buyers come out of Asia, and they paid literally 50 cents on the dollar for the gold value. So the penalties that they apply are huge. And no doubt they take it back to Asia and they burn it, which they shouldn't be doing, but they do. So our goal is to set up a plant in country and basically process all of that material. There's about 250 tons a day of concentrate that comes out of that area alone. We're starting at 50 tons a day, but our deal with the government is to expand that up to 250 tons a day. And the reward for that was a 12-year tax holiday, which is nice.
Let's dial it back a little bit to last year. 2023 was a pretty busy year for you and your team. You want to maybe walk us through some of your important milestones that you guys met?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big year, good and bad. I mean, on the good side, we got our final permits. We got the EIS was done in 7 months. And then we got our consultation process approved 100% by the local community in Tenguel. They want the plant, they want to work, and they want to make a lot more money than they're making now in farming. Of course, along the way, we had the problems, not just us, but everybody that was doing business in Ecuador with the constitutional court issue that, we sort of did a lot of navel gazing for about 4 months. And the day it came off, the next day we got our final permit. So that was very positive.
Going into 2024, we're already in February now. Can you maybe talk to us a little bit about what you and your team, what are some of the milestones that investors and viewers can expect from your team?
Well, there's really only one, and it's a big one, and it's $20 million, which is what we're raising through a green bond issue. We did a thing with Moody's where we had them come in and audit the technology and audit the project, and they gave us an 80% positive rating on both. So that was very handy as far as opening up the doors to a lot of the ESG investment companies. One of the negatives, you have to give the good with the bad, is that Ecuador had a pretty rough January with respect to issues with the narcos who have been using Ecuador as a stepping off country for getting their product out of South America. The new president, who's 35 years old, has really grabbed the bull by the horns though, and stepped in and basically has, with an iron fist, has sort of brought things back to normal very quickly, I might add. So I gave a talk recently at a conference in Vancouver, and I said, I really should be standing up here with a shovel in my hand, because we've done everything that we have to do except raise the 20 million. And the numbers that the project generates are, based on a feasibility study, which of course is done independently of ourselves. At $2,000 gold, this thing makes $15 million a year. And we're looking for 17 million for CapEx and literally 3 million for working capital. So we'll either plug it on and do it on our own, or we could bring in a potential partner into the project. These are the things that we're sort of juggling right now, and hope to have an answer for, by the end of the first quarter.
Taking on a project of this magnitude, what's your background? How did you get into this space?
My background, I guess, originally was in the brokerage industry, but I've always been involved in venture capital. And through a meeting, through a person that I met from Australia in mining, I met a fellow who was running this company in Perth, Australia. And we picked up the company, we moved it to Canada, we went public. I sat on the board for a number of years until my predecessor just about blew us out of the water. And they said, can you help us sort out the mess, which I did, and I fell in love with the company. It's as simple as that. I said, there's actually a great business here. What was the tough part was finding the right niche for the technology, and it sort of hit us in the head about 10 years ago that we're really an environmental company that produces gold. And that's our payment for what we do. So we've been pushing the green angle hard, the ESG side, but like a lot of things in my life, I tend to do things a lot earlier than the markets are ready for them. Like voice recognition software was another thing that I was involved in back in the early 90s. So we waited for the market to catch up to us, and we're at a stage now where the technology is proven. There's no issues there. It's scalable. We just have to find the right partner or the right capital provider to take this thing into production. It'll only take us a year to build the plant once we get funded. So
now, we're getting ready. We're all gearing up to head out to Toronto for the PDAC conference. We at the CSE wish you and your team nothing but success as you move forward in this path to raise capital and move your company forward. Where can we point our viewers to go read up on your company, read up on the technology, the BacOX bioleaching tech, and of course, reach out to you should they have questions?
Well, we did a great video on our website, which is bactechgreen.com, BACTECH. Somebody always puts an H in there for some reason in the middle. I say he's the composer, we're the technology company. We did a video it's literally 3 minutes in length. It's animated, and it walks you through in a very, very layman's version of the technologies. And so once you watch that, you say, okay, I get it now. And of course, we will be at our booth at PDOC for the 4 days as well. Or you can just reach out to me at BOR@BacTechGreen.com by email, and I'm usually very quick at answering people's questions that do reach out to me. I also like to say that we've been on the CSE for a long time, and not only we developed friendships over the years, but I mean there isn't a fairer place to do business actually than the CSE as far as I'm concerned. And you didn't even prompt me to say that, so I did that on my own.
You know what? That is some of the best testimonials, though, right? Because they shouldn't be prompted; they should be genuine.
Right, exactly, and it is genuine.
I appreciate that, and I should say we at the CSE appreciate that, because it's not just me; it takes a team to make these things happen, and you know that because you are obviously working with your team to move BacTech forward. To everybody listening and watching, you've been hearing from Mr. Ross Orr. He's the CEO of BacTech Environmental Corp. And thank you again for your time, sir.
My pleasure.